Good evening, everybody. Welcome back. We are here for the penultimate race in the RAF F1 24 Esports Championship, round number 11 here in Abu Dhabi. A track that has seen a major change back in 2021, but some of the drivers are still yet to get used to it. But 3.28 miles with 16 corners, 6 to the left and 10 to the right, with 2 DRS zones, one of them being along the starters, the longest start-finish straight on the F1 calendar, coming in at just over 1,200 meters or 1.2 kilometers. Second to that would be that in Baku in Azerbaijan. But here we go. There is still a championship fight on the cards. It is a battle between 3 of our drivers, the Tank, the Asset and Crow, all within bar 4 points of each other. But before we do that one, we're going to go on a hot lap as always, this time with the driver who never actually got to do a hot lap in last year, is on board with Esteban Ocon, moved over to Haas and got his seat taken away from him in the final race. But here we are then, turn 1, over to the right hand side, braking just for the 50-meter board, keep it in tight on the left hand side and up the hill now towards turn 3. Careful that the car will get light on you, the highest point of the track, so you may see some rear end loss going down there. Here to the first modified part of the track in 2021, down to the right hand side. You want a late apex before you start the barrel down the longest straight in the Formula 1 calendar, the back straight, picking up the DRS, your drag reduction system, where drivers can spend at least 14 seconds in total down this part of the track. But here we are then, braking just after the 100-meter board, keep to the right hand side, avoid the sausage curve through the chicane on the left, get it over to the left, back over to the right, watch traction on the exit. You can very easily lose it at this point, immediately picking up the DRS before you go down the next straight. Keep the car as straight as you can, avoid scrubbing the speed to the right hand side, brake after the 50-meter boards, clip the apex nice and early, let the car drift out to the right hand side on to the curb, but not too much curb. Now bring it over to the left, keep the car as straight as you can, heavy braking point now in towards turn 12. Now over to the right, in towards the hotel section, apex on the right hand side, past the wall of Latifi, using all the track that you can, over back onto the left hand side. Slight lift during the race you'll get, but now keep it over to the left. It's all about the entry into this final corner. Keep the apex nicely, the start finish line comes up to you very quickly, and across the line you go. And that there is a lap of the Yas Marina circuit here in Abu Dhabi, as don't worry, the drivers are currently just setting up the practice lobby, and I am going to be inviting the man who's now just appeared onto the comms, who you shall now be able to hear. Hello George, how are you?
Hello, good evening. I'm very sorry I'm a bit late. Well, I'm not late. These guys don't know I'm late, but
no, you were very much you were very much on time. You just had technical issues, and I couldn't quite invite you because as soon as you said invite me to the game, the viewers couldn't hear it, but I could. The session had then ended, so I have to wait till the start of qualifying to invite you in. But we will get you in again, don't worry. But how are you? 2 more races to go, George.
2 more races. I'm hoping I can be here for the last race of the season. I'm going to try and work it out, but if this is my last race, I hope it's a good one. But hopefully, I can't wait. This is the anticipation is so good because the championship we've got at the minute, like 3 drivers, all within 4 points with 2 to go. Are we going to see a replay of 2021?
Oh, why would you say? Just I try and avoid using that year. Like, without. Did you say you were in the game, by the way? I didn't hear that.
Yes, I'm in.
Okay, there we go.
Looking at BomberBrown deciding he wants to leave the pit lane.
It is the only track on the calendar to have a pit lane exit that goes underneath the track. That makes the drivers then reappear just before the entry. No, sorry, just after turn 2 in towards turn 3. But yeah, we don't mention the that fainted year in here. It is voodoo. Banned. It is banned for anyone who is an avid Formula 1 fan.
I'm waiting for Crow to put some sort of penalty in the chat like he's been doing recently now.
Yeah, stop go penalty for George for wearing short shorts that we have seen, as BomberBrown and Tank is trying to get position on them intermediate tyres. So Bomber on an outlap on the softs. We've seen Tank do this before in many seasons on the soft tyres, but I think there may be a connection issue because they are pushing each other along curiously. Yep, and that would explain that one. Yeah, BomberBrown has left the session. Yep, but could that be a penalty though? Because Tank has invalidated that lap on the intermediates, but we expect him to come in
it's an out
this time.
It's an out lap, luckily, so there's not going to be too. It's not going to be too bad. It's whether Tank has any damage. If there's any damage, then that could be a penalty, but it doesn't look like it. But Tank's opted for, on my screen, intermediates. On your screen, softs.
No, he's definitely on intermediates on my screen as well. I'm not sure what's. I'm not sure what's happening. It seems like. I mean, Tank's trying to use all the track. He's just trying to get a banker in on the intermediates. It is not. I don't believe it's predicted to rain here at any point. So we'll wait and see what happens with that. I mean, it's a night qualifying, so we won't really know by the cloud.
So what it is that essentially he's using the intermediates to set a banker. He's not expected to use the inters in the race because we're in the middle of the desert, even though it does rain here. We've seen it in Bahrain a few years back. It did start raining at one stage. So he's using the set of inters that he knows he's probably not going to use for the race to set a banker. So then he's got a fresher set of soft tyres in the race because he'll save a set and use probably only one set for his push lap in qualifying.
It is, and well, we mentioned earlier though that there is a championship battle on hand as we speak. As I'm trying to pick the next driver to come across the line, that will be Tank on the intermediates, but we'll go to George. He'll be coming around that, or coming into the final sector. It does look like very hazy in the air from my screen, but anyway, I digress. But on your screens right now, that is the current standings in the Drivers' Champion. You can see at the top there, Tank, Asset and Crow, 66 points, 63 points and 62 points. These are your championship contenders at the moment. Then you've got Marius, BomberBrown, Ben Tomlin, Josh, Veal Team, AtomicTristan and Dagger, all rounds up your top 10. With still a little fight to get into that final top 10. Ben Tomlin does go quicker, but we'll take this off your screen. But the way that this will work is, if I press the right button, there we go. So the way that this will work, and the way that I think we've calculated it out, is Crow at the moment is only 4 points behind Tank. If Tank gets P1 and Crow scores 4 points, that will leave Tank with a 10-point lead going into the final race. The winner gets 10 points. Now, if Tank then DNFs in the final race and Crow takes the win, bearing in mind there's no point for a fastest lap here, then Tank will still become the Season 2 championship winner based on wins alone, because at that point Tank would have 4 wins, Crow would only have 2. How you would do in Formula 1. Right. Essentially. Yes. Now if Crow Crow beats Tank at any point today, and then Tank wins, so Crow needs to outscore Tank by 5 points in today's race and take the win in the next Grand Prix in order to seal the championship by 1 point.
Right. This is a lot of maths, Jack, and I'm not very good at maths.
I'm not good at maths either, but I did it earlier. But as far as Asset goes, Asset is only 3 points behind. So essentially, the exact same thing applies. But Asset will need to win this race and come second in the next race, and it will be tied on points. Tank still takes the win. But if Asset beats Tank by 4 points and Tank DNFs, then Asset takes the win in the championship. So it's all still to play for, as it can come down to the wire.
Short and sweet, it's all still to play for, but it comes down to the wire. Yes.
Well, I'm giving some stats for the viewers. Stats for the viewers.
The viewers are probably sat there going, "Ah."
As it, well, I mean, okay. No point. No point for fastest lap. 10-1. That's how the points go in the championship. But there you go. FDQ though on the lap. We've got times on the board. Asset with the 1:23 currently out on the track for looks like another push, but looks like it has set a purple sector 1. So Asset's on the push in the Haas as Ben Tomlin is close in P2, Crow in P3. FDQ though, you just saw it invalidate that lap time. BomberBrown with a disconnection issue. Hopefully we get them back in the back into the session as soon as possible. And I don't think Asset will be improving too much unless we see that purple sector come up. But Asset, the Flash, we are missing one driver. Unfortunately, they couldn't attend because they had the steering wheel issue. But the Flash, we saw, if you remember back in Mexico in the last race, George, Flash left it until the last minute to set a lap time and then ended up going, I think, finishing in P4.
Yeah, we did see that. I think, you have to go with those risks, 100%. But, of course, when there's a risk, sometimes it doesn't work out. And that does happen, unfortunately. I think we've got BomberBrown back in as well, by the way. I think I've been able to get him back. So we could see him back out shortly.
Well, hopefully that will definitely be the case as the outlaps are beginning. 10.5 minutes left here in qualifying on a track that only made its debut appearance in an inaugural race back in 2009, which was the same year that Sebastian Vettel beat Mark Webber and Jenson Button. That was for Red Bull, and Jenson Button won his first Drivers' Championship with Brawn GP, his first and only back when the era of double diffusers were allowed, and that car was amazing when Ross Brawn bought the team for just a single pound coin, or in the current exchange rate, about $1.7. So, still plenty to look forward to on this track. And also we will get to experience this track until 2030, having the contract being renewed. It was for an unspecified period until it was finally announced, I believe, in 22 or 23 that they announced how long the contract would be for.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a brilliant track. I think it's great that we come here every single year. And we have seen battles at this track quite a lot, especially when they kind of put in these new enhancements in 2021. Which has improved the racing a little bit. However, for me, the finale for me is always in Brazil. Brazil is always a bit of a crowd pleaser, isn't it? I am currently watching, though, Tank come around the final corner now to set his fast lap on the soft tyre. Comes across the line and it goes provisional pole 122.3. So he's been able to stick it on pole for now. And, nearly a second advantage to the asset. Very, very good times. Ben Tomlin comes across the line. 123.5 pops in. Ben Tomlin? Sorry, the Flash. I think that came across the line. It was the
Flash, yes.
Yeah, 125.0. So a couple seconds off the pace. And I have lagged out for some reason.
I have also been disconnected from the lobby, as it looks like we now have Logan Sargent in P1 for some reason, Daniel Ricciardo as well, so unsure what happened there. A little bit of a technical issue, so we'll have to keep an eye out and just wait to see if I can get invited, as Tank's car's on the start finish straight. It looks like we've got down there.
FDQ is just sat in a gravel trap. Ben Tomlin is coming through pit lane.
Indeed, I don't know if it's worth sending a message out, George, to see what's happened.
Yeah, I'm doing that now.
We may actually require invitations back to the game. Oh no, the lobby is down apparently. So we'll have to wait for the technical issues. I don't have my, well, I mean, I could put on my Just Chatting with Jack thing on there, but I don't think I can actually do that. I've got my own little jingle for when I stream myself. I made it myself as well, back when I was playing Alien Isolation.
I had some Just Chatting stuff, but yeah, that's, again, lots of old NCS, non-copyright sounds music. I'll try and tag Crow and see if he sees it.
It is. I've just had another invitation, so we do apologise back for the viewership. Obviously, this is one that's definitely out of our control, but yeah, I don't unfortunately have like a custom-made intermission. I do have a Be Right Back screen, but I think it would be kind of pointless to put that on there as we just wait for everyone to now rejoin the lobby as the session gets back up. But hopefully it's not your last race, George, because it helps if I've got someone to talk to in these circumstances.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, life calls.
No, that is
Personal
true.
life calls and personal work, but my work does turn around and say, "Yeah, we need you on this shift," and it's like, okay. But I'm working a fair few extra hours this week, so I might be able to pull some time back on Monday just to slot in, bang on time.
Slotting a little bit earlier, and apparently history is repeating itself. But just looking into the chat quickly, but there is still plenty of racing coming on whilst we wait for the lobby to set up. I say plenty more racing. This is the penultimate race of the championship and of the season. That will then see us go over to the Australian Grand Prix next week, not today, because all the races, the second half of the season, should say, had to get delayed by 1 week. So yes, we're going back off to Australia for the season finale, where we'll find out who is going to take the trophy and the crown for season 2 of the championship, and that's going to be on the 14th of April. Yes, April. I always mix April and August up for some reason, and I don't know why. It baffles me.
Maybe because they both start with A.
I'm a simple man. I mean, that's the only real excuse I have. I am just a simple man.
You are just a simple man, Jack, but that's why we love you, mate. I can't. My game has decided it wants to play silly buggers. This is great. Oh, F4.
And it's broken again. I just heard from the background. We're just normal men. We're just innocent men. For anyone who gets.
What did we do to deserve this?
Who's it? Is it Scratcher the dog? Who said that on BBC, CBBC or something like that? Hacker the dog, not Scratcher the dog. Scratch. I mean, to be fair, Scratcher the dog is kind of a cool name.
Yeah, that does work. Just to confirm, it will be one-shot qualifying.
Oh, this is going to make it spicy. So for those of you who don't know, obviously you have 3 sets of qualifying you can do in the F1 24 and probably F1 25 game. You have full qualifying, which replicates what is actually on the Formula 1 calendar. So you have 3 qualifying sessions, Q1, Q2, Q3, and the bottom 5 get knocked out of each qualifying. Unless you have less players, then it'll be, unfortunately, whoever is... if you've got less than 15 drivers, you're going to make it through to Q2, etc. Then you have, obviously, what we've been playing throughout the season, 18-minute qualifying, where the track evolution does increase, where you could see at least 3 push laps, or if you're very unlucky, only 1 push lap when you go to Spa. And then you have one-shot qualifying. So what one-shot qualifying is everyone will start their lap at the same time in their own client-side event. However, in the bottom right-hand corner, you can see on the mini-map everyone else's delta of who you are behind, or you can see their little dot in the map, so you can see roughly where you are. And it is exactly what it says at the tin. If you mess up at any point on that lap, it will cost you dearly, and that is where you are going to start. So they literally have one shot, one opportunity to get to that front row, or get onto that provisional P1, or that P1 for the race. So a lot can ride down on this one. Tank could have a mishap. Crow could have a spin. Asset may take the top spot, or we could even see BomberBrown take P1. It's not who crosses the line first, George. It's who still sets the fastest time at the same time.
Well, that's it. One-shot qualifying is always a fun way of doing it. It makes our life a little bit harder. Because obviously with that we are watching only one driver at a time. You're going to be trying to show the fastest driver. I'm going to be sat there trying to find the next fastest driver to see who's coming.
Or who spins.
So it makes it harder for us in the comm box. Just from what I'm seeing here, just from the lobby leader, they're doing a practice session to give people time to do setups, and then they will retire. We're just waiting for the asset to go green and press ready, and then we will be back on track. But yeah, it's going to be very interesting. I think one-shot qualifying is a very suitable way to go now we've had this issue, because otherwise we're going to be sat here all night long. And Jack, I don't know about you, but I kind of want to play F1 Manager after this.
Oh, why are you making me do this? So for those who don't know, obviously we following the race last week. I know we should be talking about Grand Prix and racing, but we are kind of talking about it at the same time.
Yeah, we are.
When the drivers make at least an average of 68 gear changes per lap, or if they do a full 55 lap race distance, when it was originally 58 when they had the chicanes back in pre-2021 and then dropped down to 55, drivers will make around about 3,740 gear changes. And I got really bored in work one day and figured out how many gear changes I made in a 50% Monaco Grand Prix, and it was a lot. But yes, F1 Manager, and so you're playing as McLaren, and you went to the Miami Grand Prix, but you haven't won a race yet. I didn't think at that point.
No, I did win a race at that point, but I was awful.
Yeah, and
never had a 1-2. It was never had a 1-2.
Yeah, and so myself and another driver, you may have seen him pop up in the past, called Mohican. He used to race engineer for us back in an in-service season, I think about 2 years ago, and he knew his stuff when it came to race engineering, which is really, really impressive. So we were both there, we sat down watching this go on in the Miami Grand Prix. And there was we called the strategy perfect, and then there was a safety car with, what was it, 10 laps to go, 11 laps to go?
10 to 11 laps to go.
And Max Verstappen had just pitted. Well, he pitted a few 7 laps before that for a mediums to run to the end. So we had to make it. So we paused it. And we're just like, we don't know, because Lando was on like 20 lap old hard tires, something like that. So it's like
something crazy like that.
But he's got the pace. Can he get to the end? And I was just like, now take the gamble. We're boxing for softs. And then went on to win.
I turned around the minute the safety car came out. I turned around and I went, right, box. And then we were sat there and went, hang on. Is this the right thing to do? And I was like, well, we'll save tyre wear on the soft. It was essentially the year we don't speak of all over again, because we went on to the soft.
Yeah, we did, but we were calling safety car windows and all that as we were going, and with a little help of don't fight your teammates. Obviously, it made sense because at that point Piastri was on older mediums. I believe he started on the hard tires, so it made sense to let Lando go and just push, and then just go max defend on Piastri. And safety car stayed out for about 3 more laps before it came in, and then you went on to win the Grand Prix with a 1-2 finish with McLaren. Yeah. So almost a carbon copy, but Lando got his win in Miami.
Yeah, the next race at Imola didn't go as well, but we'll see what happens tonight, shall we?
We will. So there we go. Players are in the lobby. Their setups are now fixed for the race. 30 seconds on the clock. I will try and do what I can with a one-shot quali. You will see me flicking through the drivers, so I do apologise. So you may see some flashing light warning. Well, this is a flashing light warning just in case. I'll be flicking through them rather quickly before we go on to daytime in the race and end up in the night. But here we go. 10 seconds for a one-shot quali. It will be a rolling start for the drivers. For those who don't know, they will not be starting on the line. There will be a rolling start through the final corner. They get the countdown of 5 seconds each, and away they go already. So round the corner, and these are all the lap times starting from all the drivers. I'll be flicking through them, as you can see. So down in the bottom right hand corner, you can see the track map, but the drivers can see who is ahead of who. So we'll stick with Letank at the moment. It does fade out and come back. So they're all pretty fairly even at the moment in towards turn 1 when it looks to it. Down in towards now turn 5. Here comes Tank. What can he... Sorry, that's Golf Maniac now, because everyone's jumping around positions. You can see on the left-hand side, though, that is the positions that they're currently in. So I'm trying to find these drivers. Asset is currently in P1. He is holding the fastest time at the moment. Tank is just overtaken Ben Tomlin. So he's got a lower downforce setup going down in towards the chicane of turn 6 and 7. But Tank and Tomlin, I'll find out. Crow and Asset, though, jockeying for positions up at the front. We'll see where they are. They are just coming out of it. They're now in the DRS zone. You cannot see anything behind. So Asset at the moment, currently in provisional P1. Crow in P2, Tank in P3. George has now gone up. And that looks like Ben Tomlin may have had a bit of a mistake, but gets a blinding drive. That's definitely coming out of turn 11. Down into 12 now. Asset is. Tank is caught up on Crow. Crow has had a mistake somewhere on the track. You can just see at the moment Crow is only about a tenth of a second behind the Tank. Tank says had a mistake. No, Tank's up ahead. There's one more corner to go. Has Tank clawed it back in the final sector? This is definitely where he's apparently a lot stronger. Asset crosses the line. Crow's had a huge mistake. Crow is out of the Grand Prix, and so is George. A problem in the final corner of the Grand Prix. Tank takes the P1, and it all kicked off, and that's how easy a one-shot quali can slip away from you. Crow and George with a huge mishap going there, and apparently Tank did all that on the hard tyre, so that would explain why he was a little bit further back. But Asset 3/10 had him wobble. My guess is coming out of turn 9 in towards turn 10, maybe a little bit slower on the brakes in the into the hotel section. But there you have it. Tank, Asset, Big Melt, and Ben Tomlin fill up your first 2 rows with Golf Maniac with FDQ in P6. Good qualifying from her. BomberBrown, Flash, AtomicTristan rounding up the rest of your grid with Crow and George starting on the back row, with Crow in plumb last position, having DNF just after Crow. Spicy, George.
That was fun.
That was chaos. That was chaos.
It was chaos because you just didn't, like, you wanted to follow something, you just didn't know who to follow because it could all change. I do not know what happened to Crow. I do not happen to know what happened to George. I think it was track invalidations because it does get you disqualified in one shot qualifying. But they've got it all to do now. Could it be, they might be going for an alternate strategy now, you know, with the sense of the fact that they're starting at the back. Could they go for the harder compounder tyre, then work their way to the soft just to have that kind of, you know, longevity and go long in the race? Could they decide, no, we're going to go on the soft tyre to start and have a really short run and then jump on the hards for the rest very early on? Just got to wait and see. But that was good fun. I don't want to do it again though.
It's thing is though, it's hard because obviously there's a quick way you can change which driver that you can have. If you've got a keyboard, because I'm using a controller and then a keyboard as well, you can press the number and it will change that driver. But in one shot quali, the numbers which driver you go to on the left, they stay the same, but the drivers don't. So I'm like, there's Tank in P4. I hit 4 and he'd already jumped up to P3. So now I'm watching the Flash. So it's quite hard at the earliest start, the start of a one-shot quad to that one. But there you go. That's qualifying done following a slight technical issue with the lobby. So all to play for. The race starts in the day and will finish, or starts at dusk and will finish at night, or in the night. So you will see all 4,600 odd lamps around this, because you had this stat last year. I remember this one around the track. They will all be illuminating the way as it's like Singapore. The cars look really nice at night.
They do, yeah, absolutely. I think racing under lights, you know, it just hits different in Formula One, doesn't it? When you get told it's a dusk race, it's a twilight race, it's a night race, you're like, oh, I like this. I like this a lot. Because they just shine a bit better. It's probably just the paint and the liveries that they use. It's just making it shine better. But, you know, absolutely phenomenal. But then again, watching it in the daytime as well, provided it's not raining, which I'm hoping it's not at Silverstone this year.
Agreed.
Will be incredible as well. Obviously, I know you're heading to Silverstone as well as me. I'm now sat in Stowe for Silverstone. So that is going to be fun.
Okay, yeah. So you're only literally up the road from me. As it looks like Le Tank is deliberately sabotaging the brake marker boards for the rest of the drivers, who will be using no racing line. We saw that dirty trick. So that might go to the sewers. He's taking out all the bollards as we go, as it goes flying to the left hand side of the screen. But yeah, the drivers. I think it's a little bit of a naughty move, but I know George has a tendency to do it to me and winds me up when he takes out the brake marker board in the pit lane. So all is fair and love is war. Oh, I don't even know what the saying is anymore. But there you go. Though the drivers are on their way for their formation lap, as we will try and see what tyres they're on. So everyone opting for the medium compound tyre except for the Flash, which is definitely doing the alternate strategy down in P8, which is an interesting choice of tyre to use, as we'll just get rid of this at the moment. So they need to warm up these tyres, but not overcook them by the time they get to the final sector. So Asset and Tank, definitely two who can take the contenders, but Crow, a battle for the championship. He is only 4 points behind Tank, will have to claw back many points in this championship to keep that fight rolling over to the final Grand Prix. If he exceeds more than 10 points by the end of this Grand Prix to Tank, that battle will be over, and then it will be down to the Asset to take the championship away from Tank coming into the final Grand Prix. But here we go around the final corner. There you go, as a little bit of a bit of a donut, as they're all, it appears to be like celebrating. It's a bit too early. It's like it's not the last race yet, guys. As Big Melt is Big Melt's been disqualified, been out of nope. Here comes Tank now. So Big Melt disqualified and FTQ disqualified for being off center. But here we go then. The lights are on. That's 2, 3, 4. That's 5 lights. They pause for the effect, and it's lights out, and away you go. And that's a great reaction time from Tank. Asset is losing positions there. It looks like Big Melt, and no, it looks like that's the Alpine. Ben Tomlin up into P2. A little bit of side-by-side contact then with Big Melt down at the back with the Asset. So Asset losing that massively. Now under pressure from the Red Bull of Golf Maniac. AtomicTristan is up positions. Crow is a little bit further down into the hairpin. They go for the first time on this race. Tank clear up ahead. Tomlin tucking into the slipstream at the moment, and Asset hasn't got back around Big Melt in that hairpin. Big Melt going a little bit too deep, as you can just see the DRS trained, all the drivers weaving to get some free air. BomberBrown ahead of FDQ, a little bit of push to overtake as FDQ goes for a huge lunge, and that's contact with the Red Bull driver. That was ambitious. I think she forgot where the breaker point was, and that's wing damage for that Mercedes driver. Moves out of the way. We'll probably have to box this lap because that is a huge deficit from that one. Crow though goes around FDQ from that damage. That was a bold, brave move, and unfortunate. So that could possibly go to the stewards. But Golf Maniac, who received that collision though, still going. Didn't really seem to affect him too much ahead of BomberBrown as they come through the hotel section for the first time. The gap now opening up to the 2 seconds from Big Melt. So a little bit of a delay, but what can Golf Maniac do here? He needs to close that gap, get within 1 second as the drivers cross the line for the first time. This for the Grand Prix, a huge oversteer moment for the Ferrari of Crow. Needs to watch out for that one. DRS will be enabled by the end. Well, currently it has been enabled the end of the first lap. So FDQ and Crow still battling it out down at the back. Well, FDQ and the Mercedes still staying out with that wing damage. Around the outside goes Crow, elects not to, but up the inside goes AtomicTristan. Has Crow got an issue as well at the back, or is he just trying to buy time? George, I don't know what's going on. Flash though, down in P11.
I don't know what's going on. A lot of kind of lag I'm having on my screen at the minute. It's just a bit of chaos. Like, drivers are jumping around the track quite a lot, and BomberBrown has just disconnected. We'll get him back in there in a minute, so there might be a little bit of confusion down there. But Crow's having a really good battle with FDQ. FDQ's dropped even further down, and is now down behind BomberBrown. I think the front wing damage might be having a bit of an effect there, but gaps are now starting to form. Ben Tomlin still keeping within a second of Le Tank to keep the DRS advantage, as well as the Assets to be behind Ben Tomlin. However, when it comes at that point, then it reaches over.
Oh, sorry, 2 seconds, George! Sorry, 2 seconds, George. That's Ben Tomlin into the wall. He almost pulled a Nicholas Latifi, somehow kept that car going, and that has lost him out of that position. And then Asset loses the back end in the final corner. Heavy wing damage for the Haas driver. Needs to be careful on that racing line. Away he goes. Huge damage, and that is Asset definitely going to have to pit now. And it is going to be a huge dip in points for the Drivers' Championship, and it's all kicking off. It's only lap 3.
It's only lap 3. It is only lap 3, and that's why we love playing this game.
Incredible scenes here though in the Aston Marina, and it looks like Asset's not giving up, goes for the lunge on to BomberBrown. Does manage to hook it around, just misses the apex, but does get around. And that was a chase that was going to be happening. He was right behind Ben Tomlin, but Ben Tomlin got really deep, bounced into the wall, and that's what caused him to come back on the track. But Ben Tomlin now also has wing damage on the Alpine. That looks like front right end plate damage, so we'll be losing a lot of downforce, especially in these left-hand corners, as well as being stuck in the turbulent airs. Golf Maniac and George are now side by side going around turn 9. George around the outside does just about get ahead. We'll have the inside line going in towards the hotel section, and behind is Golf Maniac. George locks up the wheels, doesn't get the car over to the right as much as he wanted it to, in towards the final part of the hotel section, as I like to call it, the Wall of Latifi. We have the Wall of Champions, and then we've got the Wall of Latifi. But we're not mentioning the year, but we can mention the name. Ben Tomlin, though, now goes quicker with that wing damage. I think Ben's going for the win here, though, George. He must do.
Oh, he absolutely is. He has to be going for the win. You know, I don't know the last time we saw Ben Tomlin actually win a race, unless it was while I'm, you know, wasn't here one week. So it'd be good to see the Alpine on top, and he's opened using the ERS now. He's about 80% ERS. Tank trying to keep him out the slipstream, but with DRS open as well, it's an easy overtake for Ben Tomlin down into the chicane. The Tank might be having a look. Keeps on his rear wing. He's now going to have the DRS. He's got a full battery. He's going to utilise it down the support pit straight. Ben Tomlin keeping to the inside, then goes to the outside. The Tank will want to go on the inside here, but stays behind at the moment. Maybe that's a bit of a strategy thing, and waiting for a good time to overtake, possibly when Ben Tomlin starts to run out of his battery a bit more. He's got 50%, while Le Tank has 80%.
It is, and I don't know if it was an issue on my screen, but it looked like either Le Tank had a little bit of a lag moment on my screen, but ended up taking out one of the DRS barriers on the right-hand side down the pitch straight. The back straight, the straight, shall we say? It was
the support pit straight.
No, it was the one before that one, the really long one. But Tank giving a little flash in the mirrors on Ben Tomlin. On to Ben Tomlin. So Ben Tomlin not phased too much by this, but you can just see though, for somehow it might be the car setup, but it'll snap from Tank. The car getting light as he goes over turn 3. Looks to make the move on the inside. Are we going to see a late lunge? It is a little bit of a lunge. He does about make it, and it looked like Ben Tomlin didn't have any choice but to yield. And he's flashing his DRS. He's trying to keep Ben Tomlin in the fight here, as you can see on the back wing of Le Tank. I think he's having a little bit of fun knowing that Asset and Crow are that far behind. So he only needs to score more than 5. I've lost my math. 5 points. Crow has to score in this if the Tank wins, and I think Tank is just towing along Ben to try and open that gap up from Big Melt, so they're going to have less of a fight going on and open the gap, I think, because Ben's got wing damage, so he's going to have to pit again. He's going to have to pit and lose time under that wing damage. So who would have thought that VCARB and Alpine will be working together in a Grand Prix to open a gap up to allow a free pit stop for a wing change, or a free wing change, to say, as Golf Maniac is on the hunt in the Red Bull on to the McLaren of George.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Le Tank with the little bit of the showboating, going down the back straight, flashing his DRS. Maybe not this early, but we've still got a long, long way to go. But it is some incredible racing already. We're seeing battles all around the track, but gaps also form. Big Melt 4 seconds from the leaders. The Asset did box for a set of the hard tyre, so the Asset thinking of going long, as Ben Tomlin now overtakes down the back straight and into the chicane to take the lead again. But I think it's going to be a lot of swapping position just to try and increase the gap.
Yeah, still plenty laps left to go. Still 24 more laps here in the Grand Prix. As you can just see, they're taking the Esports line coming out that final chicane. Keep the car as straight as possible. Another straightforward move here from these two, but you can see with what's going on as George and Golf Maniac are battling out as well. A little bit of traffic from Big Mel in front. This is going to benefit George when it comes to the DRS in towards the hotel section that they go. The sun is setting though here in Abu Dhabi. Huge oversteer moment from George coming out of turn 6. Sorry, that's turn 13. So that's going to lose him time, but the gap to Big Mel is just closing and closing. So that we could see a double overtake here. Golf Maniac, though, in the better position, getting the benefit of the double toe or the double slipstream effect. But with George being held up by Big Melt, is this going to happen a little bit sooner as Crow now is up into P6? So that's 4 points for him. FDQ with a penalty for exceeding track limits. May need to start thinking about coming in for a wing change as Crow goes deep into turn 1. So we'll get a warning from that one. The back end of that Ferrari looking a little bit loose coming up that hill of turn 3, but under pressure from the Flash from that little moment that he had. And the Flash will get the benefit of the DRS. The Flash takes a really early line there. George is now ahead of Big Melt, and we could see the move down at the back here. Tucks in behind the slipstream. The Flash on to Crow. The DRS is open. No push to pass on the Alpine. So that's going to be a straightforward overtake from that one into the chicane. Crow on the diffuser. And say again, George.
Golf Maniac's in the wall. Golf Maniac's in the wall. The Red Bull in the wall with the yellow flag. It looks like he's lost the back end out of the chicane. Whether there was contact with the guys ahead, I'm not sure, but he was pointing the wrong direction out of the chicane there.
Yeah, Golf Maniac was in the battle with George. We saw the yellow flags on the boards on the left-hand side as Crow was going through that section of the track. So could this one go to the stewards? We will have to wait and see. We're not too sure as of yet, but Crow still now has to take that position back from the Flash. We should probably not see an overtake just yet. So I've got about 20 seconds so I can show you this replay. Unless I already put it up. No, I think I already did put it up, but yeah. Never mind. I don't know. I can reload. No, it's okay. I've got the reload button. I've got a save and a reload. It's fine. So we'll watch that at the end of the start finish. But Crow is still on the hunt down to get P5. And this will be enough to keep him in the championship fight towards as we move into round 12 in Australia. But Asset needs to get a little bit of a move on, going deeper into the Grand Prix. Another movement up at the top between Ben and Latank. So Crow has to get this position and then pull along the road. As you can see, the Flash just weave in a little bit down the straight. Can't weave too much, otherwise it's a violation of the regulations. You can make one defensive move, but you can weave. Crow, though, heavier on the brakes. He knows he's got the pace. Soft tyres of the Flash versus Crow. It's all to go for.
Yeah, absolutely. Very hard on the brakes there by Crow. Nearly went into the back of the Alpine. Crow wanted to have a look on the outside. Now have a look on the inside. Comes the Ferrari. Can he keep it stuck down? It hits on the outside, but the Alpine seems to be quicker around the outside. Outside becomes the inside, but Crow is able to keep it. But Crow now using a lot of that ERS usage. Has to charge it up. It's a squirrely moment from the Ferrari going underneath the hotel, down past Latifi's corner, and now into the final 2 corners. Really squirrely from the Ferrari round the final corner.
And he's got it around!
Crow, that's not going to help his championship standings at the minute. It's not looking good for the Ferrari. He's got major wing damage. That's going to have to be a box and stop, I think.
That is extremely unfortunate for Crow. The battle was the battle was fierce between these two drivers. So it's just unfortunate. A little spin up at the rear. It looked like he lost the rear under braking, going into the second to last corner, or as he was into Latifi's corner. And the name is sticking, by the way. Yeah, rear locking on that Ferrari, not ideal. Lost the time and then just spins up the rears. Too much of the curb on the exit, the final corner, and back he goes. That's severe wing damage on that Ferrari. The front right is almost hanging off. You can just see there's only one of the there's one of the 4 plates remaining. It's not quite. Yeah, I think it's more like 4 plates, to be honest. But yeah, that's not going to help. AtomicTristan, though, Golf Maniac are battling out side by side, going around turn number 9. So Golf Maniac trying to catch back up what's going on, but the inside line for the Haas does eke ahead. A little bit of contact there on the rear tyre. And ahead is the Haas going through the hotel section. And hopefully, if I could play this replay again, who have we got on board? This is on board with the Alpine and tank. And we've got, and that's Crow round again. And that's a collision though between the Asset and the Alpine of Ben Tomlin, and Crow around again as it switchbacks to the game. That is a no-brainer. A box for the Ferrari driver, as BomberBrown was unfortunately disconnected from the lobby, and Ben Tomlin and Letank are still pushing around, but George is eking that gap. Keeping it within about 5 seconds, but goes really deep, as I say that, in towards the chicane, should I say. And lose out time. RAF Esports, did Nemesis forward you his proposal for an inter-team? I do not believe I've heard anything on that one, so may need to revisit that one. But I'm sure I'm sure it'd be another one to have a look for. But I hope you're doing all right. Brates, it's been a while since I've last seen you, and I'll be seeing you in 2 weeks' time for your final Grand Prix. But still fighting going on all around the track, George. Golf Maniac and AtomicTristan. We know what's happening at the front, but what's happening down in the midfield?
Down in the midfield, let's have a look then, shall we? It's very much a case of Golf Maniac and AtomicTristan just swapping positions. Again, it's very similar to the lead, but it's not going to help them. It's not going to get them more forward. If anything, it's going to send them backwards a bit more fighting like that. The flash is about 6 seconds away at the moment from the Red Bull car. So they're just constantly switching positions, trying to push forward. We're going to start seeing pit stops soon for the hard tyre. Obviously, we've seen Crow in for the hard tyre, go in for that extended kind of strategy due to the damage. Could he pit for softs near the end? It's a possibility. Wouldn't count on it unless there's a safety car, however. But yeah, it looks like we've got a yellow flag down. I think it's the game just being really, really buggy at the moment as AtomicTristan overtakes again then to get up to P6, and Golf Maniac having a bit of a lock-up into the chicane. But yeah, I think, you know, there's a lot of chopping and changing in the midfield at the moment, but I think it's all strategy-based. Pit stops coming up.
Yeah, lap 11 of 29, so there is quite literally 19 laps left to go. Golf Maniac getting a lot of wheel spin, leaving that final part of that chicane around about turn 7, as it looks to go for the inside of Atomic Flash around turn 15, 16. Not the place where you kind of want to make that overtake on the track, but up ahead though, it looks like Letank and Ben, obviously the towing along with that wing damage on Ben, is they're not fighting each other too much. They are keeping it quite clean, which is why they're now extending that gap on George by his little mistake of going deep into turn 6 on the hairpin after the straight. But the closest fight on track at the moment, excuse me, is Golf Maniac here, 0.3 of a second. This is definitely a battle for position as Ben Tomlin and Letank. I think these are going to be sealed deals. He's now opened that extra 5 seconds for the undercut on George and a wing change, which will give him 5 seconds on a pit stop. But when Ben comes out, I think it'll be quite close, so long as George reacts the same time. But here comes Golf Maniac in the Red Bull DRS, wide open, out, up, down at the same time, to the inside.
I think Crow's had another spin. Crow has had another spin down the back of the track. Not cause, I'm trying to see if there's any damage at all. My game's just not allowing me to change driver. There isn't any damage, but I think maybe the setup on the rear is causing Crow to spin quite a lot more at the minute, especially on those hard tyres. There's not a lot of grip until you really bed them in. But for Crow, this is not looking good.
Not at the moment, it isn't, but it's not looking too good for the asset. He did have a little bit of a mishap, which is now causing, well, which is now losing out on points. Still only 2 points left to go. Tomlin in, and was that a front wing change? No, it wasn't. So Ben Tomlin's still happy with the balance of that car for the remainder of the Grand Prix. And I somehow believe my internet is slowly going on me.
I don't think it's the internet. I don't think it's the internet, Jack. I think it's the game. I think it's the game, because I'm having the issues as well.
Yeah, I'm looking at how many frame rates I'm dropping, and it's scarily getting quite a lot, but hopefully it's just about hanging in there. Either that or it's just Abu Dhabi and the track in general. But the Flash is going to make the move now on Big Melt for P3 in the championship. So I do apologise for the quality dropping all of a sudden. It's a bit of an odd one for me, at least. Usually I've got really good internet, but apparently today, not so much, as it's just decided to go again. But here we go, a Flash up into P3. That's where they go, down in towards the hairpin of turn 9. And Big Melt's not close enough to make the charge. But as you said, George, pit stops are coming in thick and fast. And it's down to what's going on up ahead. And can that pit stop, the undercut for Ben Tomlin on George, is that going to prevail with the dirt? With basically, he doesn't have tank to tow him along anymore.
George Bial's coming in then for McLaren. Again, bit of hostile territory here. Two Georges back on the grid. But we say nothing. He's in a McLaren. It's absolutely fine. Comes into the pits then, does the McLaren. He goes on to the hard compound tyre for the rest of the race. We can also see Big Melt into the pit lane as well. I think it'll be for the same hard compound tyre, because you have to change onto another compound of the dry tyres, because that is the rules of Formula 1. When you make a pit stop, softs, it'd be too early for that, wouldn't be able to make it to the end. If you did make it to the end, you wouldn't really get anywhere. As we're looking at Golf Maniac, I think he's had a 5-second penalty, because the crew are not doing anything. They just stood there, and they go now for Golf Maniac. Hard tyres, he's going to come out. It's going to be a little bit racy between him and FDQ. FDQ on a fresh set of the hard tyre. This could be a brilliant shot for FDQ, and she has overtaken the Red Bull and will be clear on pit exit. So FDQ got very, very lucky with the penalty that Golf Maniac has had. Getting well ahead. He's got a yellow flag back down in sector 3. I think that's for Crow once again. But they're coming in thick and fast. The tank decides to stay out. What's the Flash going to do? Is the Flash going to decide now's the time to pit? No, the Flash stays out as well.
Yeah, FDQ also had the benefit of a wing change, and that is Crow. He's DNF'd. He's in the pits, and he is retiring from the Grand Prix. The Ferrari driver not happy with the balance of the car, probably trying to save the car as much as they can for the next race. And that is Crow out of the Grand Prix. And unless Tank DNFs, then that'll be him out of the battle, or out of the contention for the championship. So now it's Asset, who is up in P4, will get 10, 9, 8, 7 points come at the end of the Grand Prix, so long as he stays in that position. But there's a long way to go, and he did pit early, so may have to pit again, whilst George was a lot later in the stops and could take that away from him. So Tank needs to outscore Asset by quick maths, 4, 5, 4, 3. Basically, outscore by 4 points in order to seal the deal in the championship. If that happens, then that could be Tank as the championship winner, if my maths is correct, with a maximum of currently 20 points available for the remainder of the season. So this all comes down to what's going to happen now in the next 14 laps of this Grand Prix here in Abu Dhabi. And it's slowly starting to turn night. You can just see now the lights are shining, the battles are on, and Ben Tomlin is chasing his teammate for a Haas 2-3. Its next target is the Flash, and a long way to go to catch up to the Tank.
Well, the Flash at the minute is on 15-lap-old hard tyres. We could see some team orders coming in here for the Alpines, because they do not want to slow the Flash down at the moment, because he is the lead driver and could get the win for the team this evening should it all go the right way. And they need to swap the positions, and they need to swap the positions fairly quickly to allow the Flash to close in, because the gap at the minute is at 15 seconds. I don't know whether you got this wrote down at all, Jack, but time lost in the pits, I think we're looking at around 20 or so seconds. Am I correct?
21.9 seconds average pit loss time, and something that you just may have missed, that the move was made, so it was a straightforward overtake from Ben on the Flash. But with the lapped car, the lapped AI car of BomberBrown, that gap was closing down. So Ben looking for the undercut. It possibly could happen, but Tanker's in the pits now. We'll have fresher tyres. But the car that kicked Sauber, it was in the wrong place at the wrong time. As you know, essentially the Flash couldn't get the overtake done down into turn 6 and had to wait to the exit. So lost about a second, 2 seconds on the tank for the undercut here. So around the pit, or out of the pits now, the tank goes up the hill, through the tunnel, out of the front. And Ben Tomlin now leads the Grand Prix, but will have older tyres. And these need to go to the end of the Grand Prix. But we know how quick tank is. It comes out 5 seconds behind, 5.5 seconds behind the Flash. So about 7 seconds behind Ben Tomlin. So also to play for, though, with 13 laps left to go in the Grand Prix. No real battles on track, still pit stops to go. But we need to keep an eye on this man here, the Asset. Where is he going to end up in the Grand Prix? 3 points should be enough to keep him in the championship fight. 4 points may not be enough, so he has to get into P3 at least to maintain the championship. Oh no, actually I think he's okay. No, he needs he needs points. No, he's good at the moment. He's good at the moment. He's good at the moment.
You're like a Vicky Pollard from Little Britain. Yeah, but nah.
I'm more scared. I'm more scared the fact that I'm dropping so many frames. It's unbelievable. That's the bit that I'm scared about.
Like I said to you, I think it's the game because I'm dropping frames. I've got my frame counter up, and it's currently saying I'm running at 68 frames per second, but it was running at over 100 just now. So I think it's the game that's being an issue tonight. I'm not 100% sure why. It might be because we're in Abu Dhabi and the lighting changes are just really having its effect. I'm not really sure. Probably something we need to look at for next week. Crow has left session. He's already decided he's had enough. And that's his championships over. So what has Alpine got to do now to secure the win? Well, the Flash really has to play the hold-up game. Be a team player, hold up the RB as much as he can, and give Ben Tomlin a bit of a gap. Because, of course, the tank needs to work hard for a win, as any racer needs to work hard for the win. And if you've got a teammate who might be able to cause a bit of havoc, just like a certain Sergio Perez, all those moons ago, the Mexican Minister of Defense, as he was known, that can cause some chaos and actually could help when it comes to the pit stops.
That it could, but we're not expecting to see these top three to pit again, as it looks like the tank's making a bold move around the outside of turn 15. Very bold indeed, but it looked like Flash was coming in, so he couldn't stay out. He got exceeding track limits as he came into the pits. That's not going to help. But somehow set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix in the pit lane, which is quite impressive to say the least, which is something that we saw Michael Schumacher do when he won his Grand Prix in the pit lane. I can't remember which track it was, but that was back in 96, was it? I think it was 96?
Silverstone.
Or 98.
Yeah, I think he was meant to serve. He's meant to do his pit stop. Didn't do it until the very last lap and took it as the checkered flag flew. And yeah, everyone was saying he should have been disqualified for that one.
Yeah, but there was nothing in the regulations at that time that said you could not serve your pit stop, well, your pit stop or your penalty. I think it was a penalty it was in the end, on the final lap of the Grand Prix, as he was technically in the pit lane. So, questions or answers? But yes, I don't think the stream is liking this track too much, so I do apologise in advance. But here we go, though. The Asset is on to George for P3. This will be enough to keep it rolling over into Australia. But what is this McLaren driver, nearly messed up again, going to do? And how old are the tyres? And we'll have a look very quickly. So George is on 5-lap-old hard tyres compared to Asset's 15. So Asset will have no choice at this point as the fastest lap now set from Tank to chase down Ben Tomlin. This is a flash to say, here we go, I'm on my way to come and grab you. But the Asset is closing down like 10-lap-old, 10-lap older tyres on George. Has George got an issue with that car? Because he's closing down at some rate of knots.
Yeah, absolutely. They are closing down. Everyone's done a pit stop, so the Asset came in very, very early. I think it was because of the wing damage that he had on the car. The thing is, though, with the hard tyres, we've said it before, obviously they need time to bed in. They've got less grip when they get put on. The more you use them, there's more grip, but then you reach the cliff a little bit quicker once it finds the grip, and then they die off. But that's why they last so long. The more you bed them in, the faster they will get. So the Asset is kind of using that to his advantage at the moment. However, looking at the timing, the Asset 1.6 seconds behind. He's drawing a gap to Big Melt. That's gone over 10 seconds, but he's not seeming to pull any forward to George Biel. So could the Asset really turn around and say, oh, I might go for a fastest lap? But then again, we don't give points for that anymore, just like the real F1 season.
No, that's exactly what it is. And also our point changes, as I mentioned, it is now 10 points to 1 instead of this traditional 25, 18, etc., etc. 15 is the next one, I believe. As Asset is jumping into the pits. So the Asset's going into the pits for, I'm sure, for a set of soft tyres. Does get the limiter on. So no points for the fastest lap, but is probably looking to, he will come out behind the Flash, I believe, who does have the penalties as the Big Mac goes past now. So on go the soft tyres. These will be a new set of the soft compounds. As now Flash has now gone past around turn 2 that they go. We'll stay ahead of AtomicTristan. So what is the Asset going to do here? He needs to score at least 3 points in this championship to have the ability to tie when it comes to the end, and 4 to keep the battle rolling over in the hopes that the tank DNFs in Australia and Asset takes the win. So it's all come down to this. Currently, though, he is on so let's have a look. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5 points. 4, 3, 2, 1. So he currently is going to be sat on enough points to keep it rolling over to the Grand Prix.
Ben Tomlin, 3-second time penalty, while the tank is sat on his rear wing. The tank has been able to really catch up in the last couple of laps. The tank's not going to go for it down turn 1. He doesn't want to give the DRS advantage to the Alpine. That, I think there was about a 2-second gap he's found within the lap. But third place on the tank, that's brilliant driving there. Looking at his DRS as well, 70% possibly on the tank. 60 on the Alpine. The Alpine runs a bit wider than the tank. The tank's going to go down the main back straight now. DRS for licking open. He chooses not to open it. He wasn't ahead. He's opened it now. There we are. So down the back straight, he overtakes well before the braking zone. Flicks back into the inside line and is able to take the lead. Ben Tomlin will now have DRS advantage. Now, Ben Tomlin, I don't believe, is in the championship fight, if I'm right.
He's currently in the fight. He's currently in the fight for P4.
So fight for P4, which is still quite good in this league. But I think what Ben Tomlin is there to do.
Oh, so he's just made an impressive move. Oh. Impressive move up the inside. I think Ben's showing. I think that they're both showing their hands of what moves they can do. The skills of the drivers have improved as the season has gone on, and this just goes to show a bold overtake into turn 6. And hopefully I did get that on the replay. We'll see if I can put that up on the screen. There you go. The tank goes. I think I may have saved it. Hopefully I did. I probably didn't. I probably pressed the wrong button. No, wait, no, there we go. Up the inside. There goes the tank, and that is bold. Managed to almost sell the dummy into turn 15, cuts to the inside, late on the brakes, huge lock up, but then gets the move made. So great driving there from Tank A little bit impatient, I think, but I think he made the move done, and he was putting his foot royally down to say, "Yeah, I'm still behind you, mate."
I mean, I don't think we can really call him a tank, can we? With the speed he's going at and the lunges that he's making, I don't think a tank could do that, unless you possibly put a much bigger engine, even though those engines are absolutely massive.
Nah, call it a leopard tank. It'll be fine. A leopard tank's fine.
There we go. That'll do. And he's starting to pull a gap now to Ben Tomlin as well. So the tank, it's excellent racing. I think this would be brilliant when it goes up on YouTube a little bit later on tonight. Sorry, just a cheeky plug that we now upload him to YouTube.
I was waiting to the end to tell him that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh.
I've ruined it for you.
Oh, sorry, Tank's got a 3-second penalty.
It's race on now. It's the same amount of time penalties. It's time to go racing again. Ben Tomlin will want to put his foot down and try and give him a run for his money, but with 3-4 lap older tyres, could it be just that little bit too little too late? TheAsset, we spoke about him going on the soft tyre. He hasn't really made any advances on the flash. He's still 4.6 seconds behind in 6th place. So his battle for the championship, he really needs to put his foot down now. I think he's trying to save the tyres as much as he can for the last 5 laps, but we're just going to have to wait and see. I don't think they're going to be that quick in 5 laps' time.
Well, they may want to be with the car being a lot lighter on fuel, but this up ahead, a little battle between Big Mel and the Flash could help him close that gap, as it looked like the Flash was harvesting a lot through... the tank's still good on my screen, but there seemed to be a lot of the harvesting going on there for Big Mel, as I'm trying to find him. Big Mel not close enough though this time to get around the Flash in towards the chicane of turns 6 and 7. Still a lot to play for with not a lot of laps to do it. And in the first 4 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, the pole sitter failed to finish a race. But in the last 10 years, everyone who started on pole position has always won the Grand Prix. So plenty in there with McLaren taking the Constructors Championship. If you remember though, last year when Lando got what he needed in P1 with Leclerc and Charles in P2, and there is a Constructors Championship going on at the moment, and this is going to be a huge amount of points for the Alpine team. There's no reward for it. It's just bragging rights, I suppose, as they go around. And of all people though, Kevin Magnussen gets the fastest race lap with a 125.6 back in last year, if you remember correctly. And so far, Tank has already beaten that, as far as I remember. Flashing up on my screen, it's like the asset. As it flashed up on my screen.
Yeah, the reason why I went, what is he doing? Tank went into the pit lane exit and took a very wide line and avoided a penalty. Possibly got a warning last lap. I am going to check on the race director. But that's why I went, what is he doing? Because it was a very, very wide berth through there. He did actually get a penalty and 2 warnings, according to this here. But obviously the penalty would have come just as he started lap 24. And I think he's on his 3rd and final warning now. So he doesn't want to have another one, even though the gap has grown to 4 seconds. So we'll just have to wait and see. Possibly something wrong for Ben Tomlin there.
Yeah, might have made a little bit of a mistake, as the Tank sets now the new fastest lap of the Grand Prix into the 124s, 124.9. So he's already beaten Kevin Magnussen's record back in 2024. I know he said 2004 then, but with a race that you're spending 69% of your time at full throttle, 14 seconds down the back straight and up into turn 1, into 2 with the elevation of 8.2 meters, reaching top speeds of around about 215 miles an hour, is still all push for this man right here. The asset trying to claw back the points so far is enough to roll over to Australia, but he has to win the Australian Grand Prix when it comes next week. But he is 2.7 seconds behind Big Melt with 3 laps left to go. FDQ with a track limit violation and gets another 3 seconds, but currently is secured to get 2 points in the Mercedes. But yeah, Letank is now on the push, waits for the last couple of laps, saves his battery, and then goes for the fastest lap after fastest lap. Not this time round though. George comfortably sits in P3 on the podium. The Flash with a penalty, 3-second penalty, I do believe, as we have a quick look. He will. So Big Melt currently is going to make, is going to take that P4 from the Flash. So Asset could theoretically get another position here if he can close up that gap by 2 more seconds with lap 27 of 29 here in Abu Dhabi. Still excitement as Letank is 1 warning away from 6 seconds, who can now afford it, but Ben needs to stay within 3 seconds to nullify that effect as he now comes down into the hairpin, locking up the rears of the hard tyres. Unfortunately, George, it's not quite got as nighttime as I thought it would be.
No, it's darker out my window than what it is out on the track. But then again, with the lights on the track, it's a lot harder to tell, because obviously with the floodlights, it's there to make it kind of go from daylight to nighttime, but still look daylight for the drivers, if that makes sense. So it doesn't affect their racing. There is still blue sky in Abu Dhabi by the looks of it, though. There's where I am, it's lovely and dark. So I thought it kind of copy what my window's doing, which I thought would have been quite satisfying. But it is what it is. We're only doing a 50% race. Around this time, it is still like this in Abu Dhabi. So it is normal, unfortunately. But who knows? Maybe one year, when we have enough drivers, we see a full grid, we see that lovely 100%, and me and you might run out of things to talk about by 75% of it.
Not at all, because if you think back in, where is it? In 2010, Fernando Alonso, Mark Webber, and Sebastian Vettel and Lewis Hamilton were all contention for the Drivers' Championship when it came into the decider back in 2010 here. And despite being 15 points away, or adrift of the championship leader Fernando Alonso, before the race, Sebastian Vettel kept it cool. If you remember the radio message across the line, just hold on sunshine, as he took the World Drivers' Championship to be the youngest ever when he was 23 years old and 134 days, which I believe Max didn't get that championship because he only won it a few years ago. So Sebastian Vettel still holds that record. And if you remember when the year after he retired, or the year he retired, he was in the stadium in the grandstand cleaning up a lot of the waste that was left behind. Yeah, the rubbish.
He did that at quite a few of the tracks. He did it at Silverstone as well, which I think the fans really liked. I think that's the one thing about Sebastian Vettel we can say, was that he didn't just care for the racing and his career. He worried about everything that was around it. He cared about his fans. He cared about the environment that he's in, and we see that as well with his initiatives that he has. With the he's bought a load of F1 cars, which are running almost carbon neutrally. The fuel that he's using is a lot more carbon neutral, just so it saves the planet a bit more. And he is really pushing that influence on the drivers and onto Formula One itself with his net zero target. So I think Sebastian Vettel is one of those drivers where, when he was dominating, no one really liked him. But actually, when you saw what he did off track, it's inspiring.
He is, and also building the B farm in Suzuka, where I believe he had rumours had it that he drove the car in pre-racing. But here we are, though. Speaking of pre-racing, talk about a pre-finish. It is lap 29 of 29. In NASCAR, the white flag is out. In IndyCar, the white flag is out. But here, it is going to be the checkered flag for Tank. He rounds the wall of Latifi. Only 2 more corners to go. He started from pole. He adds to the tally. He drifts around the final corner. Needs to be careful. He's showboating too much. It's not the end of the Grand Prix. Crosses line backwards. That will be a penalty by the end of the come at the start of the next Grand Prix, and a 5-second time penalty for that. But he crosses the line and takes the win in Abu Dhabi ahead of Ben Tomlin. A valiant drive. Well, I don't think the tyres kept on until the end of the Grand Prix. George for McLaren, though, crosses in P3, and a bit of a gap before we wait for the flash to cross the line. Again, a great drive from the Alpine driver. Started around about the midfield pack and across the line. He makes it now, and that is an Alpine with the P2, P4. Big Mel across the line with a 3-second penalty. Just holds on towards the end by 9 thousandths or 9 hundredths of a second. And TheAsset in P6. It will be enough points to roll over to the championship at the end of the to the championship in Australia. As AtomicTristan, though, it's coming down to the last lap on Golf Maniac.
He's wanted a battle around the final corner. Golf, he's not able to get close enough. Golf Maniac comes home to take P7. Yeah, P7. AtomicTristan P8. The reason why we don't do showboating across the line, well, we saw it not that long ago in Belgium. Someone tried to showboat and it caused absolute carnage across the line. That was a very interesting race to commentate on, from what I remember. But drivers on the podium, Tank on the podium. Whether he'll stay there then with the potential 5-second penalty for showboating will be a question. I think he will. I think there was a big enough gap anyway.
Yeah, it's about 10-second gap.
Yeah, he will stay there anyway. So he takes his trophy. We'll take that home with him virtually. And we go on to the final race down under in Australia next week.
There we have it. So that is the penultimate round in the RAF F1 24 Esports Season 2 Championship, where the tank takes the full 10 points for the win, extending the lead in the championship. Then you got Ben Tomlin, a valiant fight all the way throughout, getting a little bit of a toe long from the tank, finishes in P2 for the Alpine with George. A little bit of a lonely race for him down in P3, picks up that bronze trophy on the podium. Then you got the flash, big points for Alpine with Big Melt, TheAsset doing just enough to keep the fight for the championship rolling over to Australia by a couple of points. And Golf Maniac in the Red Bull, chased down by AtomicTristan, keeps the points for that one with FDQ and BomberBrown. I couldn't remember then. Rounding up your podium with Crow electing to retire the Ferrari in the pit lane around about halfway through the race. There we go. Issues with the Ferrari, but an exciting race overall, George. An exciting race
overall. It had everything. Yeah, it had everything, didn't it? It had kind of crashes. It had gaps being made, gaps being tightened. For TheAsset, it just didn't work out with that strategy, did it? Going onto the soft, thinking that'll do. I could probably pull myself through. I think it was a little bit too early to do that, because the softs did kind of give way near the end. So that's a shame for TheAsset there. But no, it was a brilliant race. I think for Crow, unfortunately, for Crow now, it is a sense of that's his championship fight over for another year. Because he does fight hard, doesn't he? He does try and go for it. But I think the issues that he had, it's going to vary, isn't it, about what happened. Was it the setup? Was it something else? Was there damage when he spun into the wall that wasn't just his front wing? Could we have seen some floor damage, maybe some rear wing damage, causing that back end to become really, really slidey? Because that was his main issue, made it undrivable. But was a massive shame for him. Hopefully he comes back next week a little bit stronger.
Yeah, I'm sure, but is currently looking good to hold P3 in the championship, but the fight still rolls on before the season comes to a close. We are moving on to the final race of the championship in Australia on the 14th of April, Monday, same time next week, where we will either crown the tank or TheAsset as the new champion of Season 2. And it all comes down to if Tank can keep all four wheels onto the concrete, or onto the black stuff, as we like to say in the racing world, and keep it out of the walls for this narrow street circuit. So still plenty to look forward to, and we could even have our gaming gods provide and give us a little bit of a splash of the wet stuff, my friend.
Oh, I mean, it wouldn't be Australia with a splash of the wet stuff, would it?
Oh, not
Because
at
that's
all.
what
Not
we're
at
used
all.
to in Australia. That's what we're
No.
used to in Australia nowadays. And hopefully, the server gods might make our game a little bit smoother and not as many technical issues as we've had tonight.
Yeah, so I'm going to have to investigate this and quickly check what my upload speed was because it's not being very good. But anyway, moving swiftly on, that is it. That is Abu Dhabi done for this year. We should see this be the final time we'll see this until the new game comes out on F1 25 later on in the years. We're all looking forward to that one as the betas are currently getting played and I missed out on it, which makes me feel really sad. But anyway, with that one though, that is it. And thank you very much, George, once again. Hopefully we'll see you next week. If not, then I'll expect a lovely message and I'll pass it on to the rest of the stream. But please, if you could arrive late, I'll take it.
I don't want to miss it. I will be here if I could possibly do it. Let's hope. Fingers crossed. I do not get stuck on a last-minute call next week because otherwise I might cry. But if this is my last one, another amazing season of Formula One. But I will be watching if I can't get in the comms box. But if I can, I can't wait.
Indeed. Well, anyway, thank you everyone for watching back at home. I do apologize for the stream quality tonight, but I still hope you enjoyed the content nevertheless. But also later on, the races are going to be uploaded onto the RAF Esports YouTube channel, which is all new, minus the intro for copyright reasons, of course. So if you do want to watch it back, you can watch it back here on the Twitch channel, or you can go over to the RAF Esports YouTube channel and catch up on the content there. It's not just Formula One. You also have Rocket League. I'm sure there'll be Overwatch there later on down the line with events coming forward. And if we get enough followers, I think we can do multi-stream. So I'll have to try and figure out how I'm going to do both. But yes, definitely tune in for them and keep an eye on all the latest news on these social medias. But with that one, it is going to be a good night from George.
And a good night from Jack.
We'll see you next week for the final of the RAF F1 24 Esports Season 2 Championship Down Under. Good night.
Good night.